Hello, everyone. This is another Black Conservative. I'm Brian Bolden. Thank you all for joining me. I hope you guys have had a great Christmas and have enjoyed time with your family. But we got to get back to the nonsense, okay? So what I want to talk about in this video is what I'm pretty sure some of you guys have already heard about it. The tirade that Whoopi Goldberg have allowed to fall out of her mouth again. And that is that there's a big call on Twitter to have her removed or fired from The View. And why is that? Because she basically retracted her words in so many ways that she said about a year ago when she claimed that the Jews were not, real Jews, and that the persecution that happened in Nazi Germany wasn't real, didn't really happen, and it wasn't racially motivated. That's what she said. It wasn't racially motivated. Well, recently she basically retracted those words and deleted a posting she put on Twitter about apologizing for that foolish statement she made about a year ago. Now, as I was reading this article and going over it in my head about all the things that's happening here, it began to make sense to me. Yeah, it began to make sense to me. Didn't frustrate me, didn't aggravate me, didn't anger me. It began to make sense. And I'm going to show you what I mean by that. So let's get into this article here, and I'm going to give you my commentary on what I mean by this whole situation with Whoopi Goldberg makes sense. So the article starts off with Disney's ABC is coming under pressure to fire The View's Whoopi Goldberg after she doubled down on her comment about the Holocaust, claiming in a recent interview that the murder of 6 million Jewish people during World War II wasn't racially motivated. In a recent interview with the Sunday Times of London, Whoopi Goldberg defended the remarks she made on The View in January, saying that she doesn't believe the Jewish race exists and that, quote, you could not tell a Jew on the street, you could find me, you couldn't find them. Okay. This is crazy, but it's starting to make sense to me. Since the interview ran on Saturday, there have been growing calls for Goldberg to apologize again and for Disney-owned ABC to fire Goldberg with a hashtag Fire Whoopi appearing on social media. And let me say something about this Disney-owned ABC. Yeah, of course. Every time Disney takes over something, hell rocks his ugly head. Every time Disney takes over something, they screw up everything. Disney has become a demonic manifestation on earth. It is almost like it's possessed as a company. But let's go on. I want to read some of these tweets here. It's like this is from Arsene Ostronsky, I believe. Hope I'm not mispronouncing this person's name, but it says, so after supposed apology early in the year, Whoopi Goldberg doubles down on her vile remarks that the Holocaust was not about race and instead white on white violence. Someone get this ignorant fool off the air. Wow. And another post, a tweet from Roy Zafman. Can't wait till the people at ABC Network and Disney, a family-oriented company which owns ABC, family-oriented, almost like he's had a little sarcasm there, grow a set of balls and tell everyone that Whoopi Goldberg has been terminated from The View. And it's funny because there's a picture of the Arnold Schwarzenegger with his shades on, a clip from the movie The Terminator, which I love, one of my favorite action movies of all time, with the term at the bottom, Whoopi Goldberg has been terminated from The View. Funny. This is from Mike Fliss. Whoopi Goldberg is a disgrace to ABC. Wow. And here's another one from DM. The View, it says, when are you going to give these ignorant, horrendously uneducated statements made by Whoopi Goldberg the disciplining they deserve? She obviously is incapable of learning from her past errors. But is that what it is? Is it about her learning, or is this something else? Is this some kind of setup? I'm going to give you what I believe. Now, I like this statement here from this individual. This is from Foxy Farmer. Says, I'm a Mizrahi Jew. I'm a Mizrahi Jew. Now, I hope I'm not butchering that, but it's spelled Mizraih. But it says, I'm a Mizrahi view Jew. I'm not white as I look Arab. F Whoopi and her racist tirade towards Jews slaughtered in the Holocaust. So this is kind of like a contradiction, if you will, of Whoopi saying nobody can recognize, people can recognize me, but they couldn't recognize a Jew. You know, when you see him, he says, I'm not white as I look Arab. You know, I mean, and let me say something real quick about this person being a Mizrahi Jew. I keep saying Jew. What people fail to realize is that there are different kinds of Jews from different nationalities. It doesn't negate the fact that they're Jew. Why is that? Because according to the book of Deuteronomy in the Old Testament, God told the nation of Israel in chapter 28 and in chapters 29 that if they followed his laws and obeyed his decrees, he would bless them in the land of Canaan. He would bless them and prosper them. If they disobeyed him, he would scatter them among the nations. Now, there was 3 dispersions that occurred among the ancient Jews at that time. There was the Babylonian dispersion, and I think there was the Assyrian dispersion. The Babylonian, I think, the 5th century, Assyrian 7th century, and then there was the Roman dispersion that took place in AD 70 years after the death of Christ, when the Roman general Titus sacked Jerusalem. That once again scattered the Jews among all the different nations in the world. So you have different Jews from different countries, German Jews, Russian Jews, all kinds of different Jews. Why? Because God, in punishing the ancient Jews, scattered them among the nations. These Jews begin to assimilate in those nations. They begin to adopt those particular customs and languages and idioms of those nations. Okay, but they were still biologically Jews. So you have different Jews from different nations, but they're still Jews. The Jewish race existed then and it exists now. There's just different aspects of them. So for Whoopi Goldberg to say the things that she says, she shows how uneducated she actually really is. Okay, it's ridiculous how she runs off at her mouth. Why is it? You would have to wonder, why is they letting this woman talk? Why are they letting her on here say the things she's saying? I'm going to tell you why I believe they're letting this continue. Here's from Jason Van Tassel. Says, it's time to fire Whoopi Goldberg. She hasn't and won't learn her lesson. I take a major offense to her comments on the Holocaust. So it's just crazy. And here's another one more I'm going to read from Savage Sleuther. It's obvious Whoopi didn't misspeak before and is a racist with some absolutely wild beliefs. It's time for her to be fired. And this is a shame. This is a shame because I've always admired Whoopi Goldberg in the 80s and so forth. I've always admired her in the 80s and in the 90s. I've always admired her as an actor. And I thought she was funny as an individual. I really loved her in Ghost with Patrick Swayze. 90s film. I loved her in Ghost. She was hilarious. Great actors. You know, but to say the things that she's saying is just ridiculous. It's crazy. It's crazy. And this individual, Savage Sleuther, when he says it's obvious Whoopi didn't misspeak, I totally agree. She knew what she was saying, but the things that she's saying, was it from her, absolutely from her, or is she being fed these type of things to say for some ulterior motive? Let's go on. I'm just saying, call me a conspiracy theorist, but I read and I study and I watch and I listen. Anyway, the article goes on to say Goldberg's remark to the Sunday Times echoes earlier remarks she made in January on ABC's The View that led her to receiving a 2-week suspension from the show. Goldberg apologized on air and issued an apology on Twitter at the time, saying, quote, "I'm sorry for the hurt I have caused," but get this now, but the tweet has since been deleted. Really? You delete a tweet that you said about in reference to this by saying you were sorry? You said you were sorry that you caused the hurt that you caused, but you delete it? You delete that tweet? Really? So what is that telling me? What is that telling the people that listen to, that bother to watch The View? The Sunday Times asked Goldberg about her controversial comments, asking if she still believes what she said. My best friend said, not for nothing is there no box on the census for the Jewish race. So that leads me to believe that we're probably not a race, she told the newspaper. When the interviewer pushed back saying Nazis saw Jews as a race, which the Nazis did see the Jews as a race, Goldberg replied, yes, but that's the killer, isn't it? The oppressor is telling you what you are. Why are you believing them? They're Nazis. Why believe what they're saying? What? 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 I mean, I'm pretty sure that the Jews knew they were a race before the Nazis said anything. So what are you even talking about here? That's Marxist talk. That's Marxist talk coming out of her mouth. She added, it doesn't change the fact that you could tell a Jew on the street. I'm sorry, it doesn't change the fact that you could not tell a Jew on the street. You could find me. You couldn't find them. Just crazy, just crazy. But that's all I'm going to read right there. That's all I'm going to read right there. You can read the rest of that article on your own free time if you would like. But that's just crazy, man. That's just crazy. The things that she's saying, and it's not a surprise for people to crowd about this. And you can't help but wonder, why is it that they're still allowing her to be on TV? Why is it that someone that's obviously saying things that are racially motivated, I mean, like racially motivated, why are they still on TV? Think about this for a moment. Here, Whoopi Goldberg is saying something that's clearly inaccurate historically about the Jews. When Kanye West, but I'm going to say something else about the Kanye West and Whoopi Goldberg connection, because there actually is a connection with Kanye West and Whoopi Goldberg, and I'm going to explain what that is in a minute. But when Kanye West said the things he said, they tried to cancel him. They tried to cancel him. Dropped him from the label, this, that, and the other. But Whoopi Goldberg, she says these clearly anti-Semitic statements about history. She's still on the show. They suspend her for 2 weeks, but who cares about a 2-week suspension? Even if she's not getting paid for the 2 weeks or didn't get paid for the 2-week suspension, who really cares? The woman's probably getting tens of thousands of dollars a week. So if you miss 2 weeks out, that's not much of a problem for you. And I'll tell you why I believe that she's still on TV. I'll tell you why. Now, in terms of them trying to cancel Kanye West, they try to cancel Kanye West because he has a lot of conservative talking points. And that's why they tried to cancel him. If he had been on the left saying those type of things, it would have never happened. Why do I know that? Because Whoopi Goldberg is clearly on the left, and she's saying some of the craziest things about Jews and anything just about for that matter out of her mouth, and yet she's still on TV. People are calling for her to be fired. Nothing's happening. Now, why is that? I'll tell you why I personally believe this is going on. Now, I'm going to show you the connection here and why I believe this all makes sense. This all makes sense. Why she's saying the things that she's saying, why she deleted that tweet. It all makes sense to me. It all makes sense with Kanye West and the things he's saying about Jews or the Zionists. Okay. But he made the statement about all Jews, saying I'm coming against all Jews. Okay. It makes sense because I said this before. Eventually, and I have to get biblical. The Bible teaches in the book of Revelation that there's going to come an individual that's going to come against the Jews again in the future, and that he's going to try to persecute them again in the future, and that this persecution is going to be worse than the persecution of Hitler. It will make Hitler's persecution look like child's play. You want to know why that's going to happen? It isn't because God is going to cause it to happen. It's because things are being set up for it to happen. What am I saying? Kanye West saying all of these anti-Jewish things. Here, Whoopi Goldberg saying all these anti-Jewish things. They canceled Kanye West, but did they really cancel him? because he still has a voice. Huh? He still has a voice. People are jumping on board with Kanye West, are they not? You have some people that disagree with a lot of the things that he says, but there are people jumping on board with Kanye West. Yeah, that's right, man. Yeah, they're doing this and they're doing that. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. There are groups and religious groups that are against, that do not like Jewish people, that speak against the Jewish people, regardless of whatever reasons they have. They speak against them. So you have them jumping on board, substantiating the things that Kanye West is saying. And like I said before, I agree with some of the things he says, but a lot of things I don't agree with what he says. So I don't follow Kanye West. I'm not a follower of Kanye West. I'm not saying, yeah. I don't get behind that, because either you for the truth or you're not for the truth. There's no mixture of truth. I follow Jesus Christ. I follow the word of God from Genesis to Revelation, and I ain't never went wrong. Because when you start following people, people are flawed. And when you start following people and completely believing every little single thing that they say, you're going to end up in a ditch. Jesus said these words: if the blind shall lead the blind, both shall fall in a ditch. Jesus said that. You got a lot of blind people leading blind people, and both of them going to fall in a ditch. So there's a connection, in my opinion. The elites are pushing this idea. Okay? Whoopi Goldberg is controlled. Kanye West is controlled by the top elites. Even if they supposedly counseled him, I don't think they did. So he's still going on ranting and raving. People following him. People clapping for him. Then you got Whoopi Goldberg, who makes a statement, then makes an apology, then deletes the tweet. Right? She deletes the tweet and basically holds on and doubles down on what she said. And she's still on TV. You don't think that's a plan? You don't think that's a setup? We're being manipulated by the mainstream media. The mainstream media. Pop culture is poison. The elites know that. So that's why they control pop culture, because they know they can get people's attention, because people like to feel good. People like to be entertained. They know they can get people's attention, and people will forget everything that was said in the past because they can make you feel good with all this other kind of rhetoric. By the time you get to the point where you need to be, you be like, what, how did I get here? How did I get here? You was manipulated into that point. You was put under mind control. You was in a trance state and you didn't even know it. This is a setup, man. This is a setup, and there is a connection. So that's what I mean when I say it makes sense. It makes sense, because there's no way she should still be on TV. No way, period. Bottom line. Explain to me why she should still be on TV, saying the things that she's saying. Make it make sense to me. Make it make sense to me, somebody, please. There's no reason why this woman should be on. We can argue, well, because it's the left. That's part of it. The left is protecting their own. But I think it's a bigger picture. It's a setup. It's a setup for something coming in the future. Watch. You watch. If you're around long enough, and I don't plan on being here. I plan on going to be with God. Jesus Christ, I don't plan on being here. But if I'm here at any time, I'm going to say, I told y'all so. I told you. There's a setup being sparked. There's a setup. And that's why it makes sense to me. That's why all this makes sense to me. Should she be fired? Yes. Period. Bottom line. But I don't think they're going to do that. I don't think they're going to do that, because they know a vast majority of Americans in a zombie state. They don't care. They're in a zombie state. They don't care what's going on. They don't care what they hear. They're just trying to escape from all the rigmarole and craziness that's going on in the government, going on in the world, all these shootings and killings and crazy stuff going on. They're just trying to find something to calm their spirit down, to calm their mind down. That's a setup, man. You're being traumatized on purpose. That's for another video. I'm gonna talk to you about it. That's for another video. You're being traumatized intentionally to break you down so that you can accept whatever they tell you. I'm just saying. That's my opinion. What do you guys think? Leave your comments in the comment section below. Like, share, and subscribe to this channel. God bless you all, and see you again.